Welcome everyone. Good morning. Sorry, just giving everybody a second or two to log in, but happy Momentum Bootcamp round 2. So we are excited to have our Momentum Bootcamp. I hope everybody found value in last week's session, which was about scheduling, commitment, routine, the importance of all that jazz. We also wanted to really just confirm that we do suggest taking a look and participating in every Momentum Builders Bootcamp session, so that you are, we want to kind of say it like pass the course, but we're going to have a nice, fun celebration at the end of it. Have a lunch, have kind of a certificate, award ceremony, name it. You know, we get really creative with our events. So I'll tell you, it'd be highly worth it. In the event you're not able to attend, emergency, or or you're sick or whatnot, we will be recording and then sending them over your way. So that is for the group that attended last week. Anyone who is interested in joining the Momentum Builders Bootcamp, or if you know of anyone within the brokerage that is, or an agent that wants to join the brokerage, let me know and we'll squeeze them right in. But we won't be going Facebook Live. This is something that people will have to be attending going forward. So enough about that. But overall, thank you, Lee Edwards, our success manager over in Prescott, Arizona. He will be going over and reviewing Transaction Desk. So for anyone who doesn't know what Transaction Desk is, it is provided to you by your real estate association. So depending on which association you're from, so that's the entity that provides us the logins. If you ever have any login issues, I do send you over a 1-800 number so that you can update your password and all of that fun jazz. So that's that in a nutshell. But essentially, Transaction Desk is a tool. We write all of our offers, where we write our listing agreements, where we find all those endless forms, addendums, buyer advisory, anything that is required to go under contract and sent to your clients is all in Transaction Desk. So we like Transaction Desk. We utilize it because the forms are always updated through ADRE, and it's what's provided to us by your association. So might as well take advantage of every tool and resources that the associations provide to us. So I'll let it over to you, Lee, but Lee's going to go over how to use Transaction Desk, starting with the templates, so that it makes your job so much more efficient, so much easier. And then he's going to go over on how to fill one out, how to e-sign. So any common questions that you have, please keep track of them, ask as you go, or we can also revisit them at the very end. But it's all about Transaction Desk so that we are efficient in it. But Lee, it's all you. You're muted, Lee. You're muted.
All righty. So I am going to be, here we go. All righty, guys. How is everyone doing today?
Great.
Awesome, awesome. So let's go ahead and get shared and get going. The goal of today is to be able to
Lee, you might have cut out, or is it me? Did anybody hear Lee?
sign in.
Oh, yes. There you go.
Am I having?
Yeah, you kicked out for a little bit, Lee.
Can people hear me?
We can hear you now.
Okay. I'm going to actually sign in with my phone as well and use that for my audio.
Okay.
We had this.
You gotta love Zoom, right? It's like those memes. That's like, what is a Zoom call like? Like a seance. Like, can you hear me now?
Can you guys hear me now?
We can hear you now.
All right.
All right.
So
I'm going to sign in here to Transaction Desk. And this is assuming that everybody has been able to sign in and has their account set up. I'm not going to go through that with you guys today, but so as we sign in, this is what we are seeing. Can you see the left side of my screen with the gearboxes? It's going a little bit slow, I see.
Yes, we can see
Wi-Fi
your screen.
here at the there we go. The Wi-Fi here at the office sometimes is questionable. So over here on the left side of the screen, we have some gearboxes. And that is where we are going to begin our process. So again, we have all of our nice little widgets here on the side. We come down here to our gearboxes and we press that. And then as that gets opened up, we are going to come right over here to our transaction templates. And we are going to click that. Now we have all sorts of templates over here, but I'm going to click up here. The top, mostly to the right, there is a plus sign that says add. And then as you scroll over it, it says create transaction template. I just recommend everybody to put a buyer template, and I'll put it as 2022 because sometimes they update different transactions and forms. And then in the type, we are going to create it as a residential purchase because more than often you're going to be representing the buyer on a residential purchase. And then we are going to just press save. Now that is going to take us into our next screen. And I'm going to wait for it to catch up. All right, I think we might, nope, still not caught up there. There we go. All right, so we're not going to do checklists. We're not going to do contacts. What we are going to do is documents. You can see right now it is empty, but what we are going to do is add in a document right there. You press that plus button on the right hand side, and I'm just going into my documents, my recents, and we are going to put in the affiliated business disclosure. That is one thing that's required on all of our documents or transactions here at Best Homes. So why not have it in on our transaction template? So from there, we are going to go down to the next one where we do forms. And so you can see I have a lot of different MLSs available to me. It's going to be the same process no matter what, because we are just going to be using the search icon a lot right up here. So with some of those, we are going to be adding in, we always need the buyer advisory. So you can see I just typed in buyer, and then I'm going to be able to go down here and add all the things that I'm going to be needing for my transaction. We need the buyer advisory. We need our buyer pre-closing walkthrough. We are going to be needing the domestic well water addendum. I like to have more than I need. That way, if a transaction is requiring that, it's there. If it's not, and it's a reminder for me to check, and then I could go delete it after I've created my transaction. So here is our Benzer. That is pretty much it for what we're going to be needing for the buyer. You can see up here in the right-hand corner of this pop-out, it says basket. It keeps a running tally for me on the box. And just realized I did not have my buyer broker. I'm one of those that I do like to use a buyer broker for all my clients. The other things we're going to be needing the wire fraud. Now you can see I retyped something here, but it's still keeping that running tally of all these different documents that I have checked box with that green check. We're also going to put in the market conditions advisory. We are also going to be doing one of the most important ones for running a purchase contract is the actual residential purchase contract. Right down here. Now we have the well. In some places we are going to so we are going to do the on-site water. We already have the Benzer. The last thing I'm adding on is our counter offers because sometimes things don't go as planned with this offer. So I'll put counter offers 1, 2, and 1. I apologize. We should be doing 2 and 4 because if we make the offer, the seller's counter offer, which would be counter offer number 1, and then we counter back at number 2, and then if we go back and forth a couple of times, we could end 4. And then addendums, in case of things need to be changed during the contract, we'll put addendums onto there. So that is all the forms that we're going to need. So that only sets up to half of what the setting up a transaction template will look like. Now we are going to go into some of these individual forms. One of the most important ones is going to be the resident purchase contract. Keep in mind,
Hey Lee,
we
is it
are
okay if I
wanting to.
can I pause you for a second? The audio, is there any way to get the antenna? David's like thinking like, what's an antenna? But can you shift the antenna a little bit?
Say that again.
Oh, there we go. You sound better. If the audio kicked out really bad in for a second there.
Okay. Is this any better?
It's way better. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So we've added on all these transaction forms to. Okay, sorry about that, Robert. Okay, so coming back here, we went and we added all these different forms for our, that's going to be a part of our template. And I'll let you, if you are taking notes, you could write these down. I'm going to hang out here for a minute for people to be able to write it down. If you are, let me know in the chat that I can make of that. Or not. Then the all right. On that.
So just to reiterate a little bit about what Lee said, guys, every template will have different forms. So the ones he used is kind of like his preference on how he designs it. I will be emailing you guys a list of what the brokerage requires for us to use as a when you go initially under contract, and then you can have different versions of it. So just kind of a little fun note there, but notate some of the stuff that he put on there because it does make a difference, like the addendums and stuff. So you have to hunt for them later, but just wanted to chime in real quickly on that one.
That's everything that they're going to need. I like to have a few of the extra ones on there, so you could always leave them back out. Can everyone hear my phones? I do them back on.
Can you guys?
We can hear you, Lee. If you'd like,
Can we hear me now?
we can hear you. Yeah, we could probably, there we go. And Lee, if you'd like, what we'll do is, since we're having the reflection, the,
I'm
oh, okay.
So, we will get in here to the residential purchase contract. Now, keep in mind, these are the items that we are going to be needing for every single one, and it will be duplicated every single time. So, we are not going to be putting in items such as the buyer or the seller or legal description and things like that. If you are currently going to be using phrases in there, like on my earnest money, I will put in to be deposited within 3 days. Everybody will have a little bit of things.
All right, guys, the best part about
Okay, I'm
live is,
just gonna go here and not have my video going. This should work.
okay.
Can everybody, are we good?
For now.
For now. Okay. One device works sometimes, the other one doesn't. Escrow company, I like to have that on there as well, because that's where we always deposit our funds. I'm gonna leave things in the addendum incorporated. I'm gonna leave that blank. All this will remain blank. Section 2 remains blank for financing. Title and escrow. This is where we're gonna put in the best homes slash Magnus title and all of the information. I don't have any of their information on my quick forms. Really quickly,
Haley, the reception is probably not going to stick well. So if you don't mind, we'll switch spots and I can go ahead and take over from here. Thank you so much. It's just unfortunately the reception kicks in and out pretty consistently.
take it away.
Thank you so much. Sorry guys, just here and there, you gotta love technology. But I just kind of want to recap a little bit about what Lee said, just in case someone had any questions. The first thing you want to do when you open up your transaction desk, especially if you're a brand new agent, is setting up templates like Lee went. I think the overview of that was pretty consistent and we were able to hear. But what you want to do is you go into your little settings bars and then go into transaction templates. So in here, you can create multiple templates so that you are able to go in and just apply a template when you create a transaction. So what you want to do is go up at the top, click on add, title it whatever you'd like. So number one, I would have one when it's the first time you send a client, because they don't always have to sign a new agency. They don't always have to sign a new buyer advisory. They don't always have to sign a wire fraud. You just have to have one continuous copy. So nowadays, when we write out a first offer, it's exciting. It's like maybe it's the offer, the buyer advisory, the agency, and it's like maybe 6 more documents. And then it's like, oh, that one didn't get accepted. So then I'm going to send them another offer. And then that one, I probably only need the purchase offer and some things of maybe other different forms, like you're using a certain addendum or a certain additional terms or whatever the case is. So that's where you can title them differently. So what you want to do is title them, it's whatever you make sense to you. But for me, it's like a new purchase offer. And then I'm going to click on what type. So if you're into commercial, you do commercial. If you're into leasing, you need a rental one, do a rental one. But I'm going to do residential purchase, and then you can make notes. This includes buyer advisory. So it's a self-reminder on what exactly it is. And then I'm going to click on save. And I like to look at it as in like I'm shopping for forms, right? So Lee's overview kind of was pretty thorough in that. So you just stop shopping for the forms that you want. Like I said earlier, I'll be sending you a list of documents that we do require as a brokerage. And you will also be working with agents on the imposing side that their brokerage requires certain things. So just kind of a fun note in regards to that. Any questions in the subject of templates before I kind of rush to this one, since Lee kind of covered it very well? Perfect. One little side note about the checklist. If you look at transaction desk training material, so if you go sign in, you go into your AAR online where you get your logins. Down below in here is a lot of little quick tutorials on how to create a transaction, how to create a signing, how to resend for e-sign, how to create a template. So take a look at some of these videos because they're actually very informative, and they'll share some additional tips that we probably won't be sharing in today's session because there's just so much that it does. I know a lot of people have asked, I think Elvis recently asked for like a overview of the timelines. You know, you have so many days to send in the claims history report if you are representing the seller. But on the buying side, you have to know that listing agent has so many days to send us something. So you can create those types of checklists in transaction desk, which is the beauty behind it. So that's where you put checklists. As far as contacts, you can pre-populate your preferred title company so that in turn, it pre-populates the actual contract. Same thing with the documents and folders. And then if you were to be sharing this. So I personally would be sharing a lot of the stuff to my transaction coordinator in the event something gets accepted. But normally we just forward her the executed documents, him or her, for the same reason that we will have moments when the offer itself isn't accepted. And, you know, it's just kind of something we're keeping track. But that's the template section in a nutshell. In the settings, you can go into your preferences. So you update your information as well. Transaction desk automatically pre-populates some of your contact information, including your phone number. So there are times when there's a lot of agents out there who have the office phone number as their cell phone number. So if you've never changed that, make sure to change it in here. Because overall, essentially, it's right in here where you can change the phone number. So kind of a notate on that, including your office information and your email signature. So you can edit that information. Email signature there is a feature in here in Transaction Desk that you can email your clients through the portal. So that's where you can edit your signature. I think you can end up putting a picture. I personally just put my name, my brokerage, and then I can put my phone number if I needed to. So then you click on update and then branding. So this is where you can put your headshot, your brokerage logo, and if you wanted some sort of email banner, you can get super fancy and upload it in here. But this is a little step that I think most people kind of skip through in the settings bar. Is you want to go into settings, preferences, and fix all of your stuff right away. No different than when you got your CRM. You want to do the same thing and update your settings, headshots, all of that jazz. So that is the settings bar. And then you can go into notifications. How would you like to get notified when it comes down to people signing stuff? So for me, I have notifications on everything. If I were in the event to send out a contract out for signatures. The other thing in here would be, I think that would pretty much it. The support line is on there if you ever need live support, online training, guides, or tutorials. So that's just the little setting bars in Transaction Desk on what you're able to accomplish. In there is a lot in addition on top of just the templates. But the templates is what makes your life so much easier So at the end of today's class, the goal is for everyone to one, make their template for the buyer side and for the listing side. I will be emailing you the checklist on what is required. And all I ask if you can send me kind of a screenshot of it completed, so that in turn, if you are not able to do so, we can end up doing a little side call on how to do it. Like Jose and I not too long ago had a little Zoom and we did it together. So that's kind of an option as well, because some of this stuff can go right over because it's a lot of buttons, it's here and here. And then we start talking like, we know what we should start talking very fast. So there's the template. So now we're going to go ahead and back to the home screen of Transaction Desk. This is where you're going to create a transaction. This is where I'm going to write an offer. But initially when I sign in, the way it looks is like this. So you have create transaction, you have start signing, you have email documents, you have document upload, and then you have a whole bunch of older files that you have had. So at this point, we're just going to walk through it like Lee was earlier, and we're going to click on create transaction. I'm going to create the template. I'm going to title it typically the address of the house. And then you can put their client's name. The reason I do that is because you'll see if you always title it your client's name, at one point you will be writing multiple offers. So you want to just be able to find it and decipher based on the actual address. And then this is where you get to choose your template. So you can, whichever one you title, you see I've done a few, I've showed this to a few people, that's why I have different templates. So I'm just gonna click on my new purchase offer template. You can import the data. What does that mean? Anytime you wanna import the data, it's gonna connect to the MLS and it's gonna actually import a lot of it. It's personally my favorite feature. If you're listing a property, it's not quite as convenient because it's gonna pre-populate what it populated last time. So I'm gonna go ahead and do armless. And I am gonna look up a property right now so we can have an MLS number. So I'm gonna do, so I'm going to type in the MLS number, 6386911. And then you can put yourself as the buyer's agent, listing agent, neither or both. If you put yourself as the buyer's agent, it's going to also pre-populate. So I'm going to go ahead and create. And this is where it now pre-populated all that information because I connected it to the listing number. So I'm going to write an offer for this particular house. Let me edit the address. And you can enter the details in here that are relevant, and then you can just click on next. Some of this stuff, again, is only applicable if it were a listing. The contacts pre-populate. This is where sometimes you can just delete some of it, including this one right here. It just pre-populates. It's just what Transaction Desk does. But you do not have to send any of this to your broker through Transaction Desk. You need to send it through Broker Mint. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to add my buyer. Let's just say my buyer is someone that's not in the system. So I'm going to create a transaction from create new transaction contact, add existing contact, add yourself, or add a contact from Google. So I'm just going to do a create a new transaction contact. And I am going to say it's Tristan Horn, Tristan at besthomesrealestate.com. And I'm going to save. And that's where he's now in contacts. So now if I go into forms, it will pre-populate all the forms in here that I pre-selected from my template. And the template I had probably didn't have any forms. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example of how to hunt for forms. So in the event your checklist didn't have a form that you need, I would just go into add, and I'm going to shop away from my forms. So you can just hunt for the forms down below in here, such as this, and they're in alphabetical order, or you can just type in here what the title is. So let's just say we're looking for the buyer advisory. There it is. My basket got full with one, and then we're going to go over the purchase contract. All right. So back to rewind where Lee was at, he clicked on the form itself, and this is where you can start filling it out. I personally like to fill it out right out through this segment the way he was doing it. And you'll see some of the stuff that we pre-populated, like the buyer contact in there, it pre-populated in there. The seller, it will be based on what imported from the actual MLS. So you'll see listing agents typically don't put the name of their client. So what I would do from here is I would go either to Monsoon to get the name of the seller, or you can even leave it blank and just click on or as identified in section 9C. And that's kind of a way if you end up wanting to do it. But in this case, I would go into the transaction desk and type in seller name, or I'm sorry, into Monsoon and type in the seller name. This pre-populated, all this fun jazz pre-populated, and now I'm going to start putting in what I offered. So we do have a class on how to fill out the purchase contract. So I'm not going to dive into any of that right now. I just kind of want to give you an overview of how you start filling it out. But anyone on this call that would like to kind of a quick little overview on how to fill out the purchase contract, because that in itself, we do have a pre-recorded workshop that our broker, designated broker David Roney did, and he kind of dives into the verbiage and the meaning of some of the lines. But this is an overview on how to fill it out in transaction desk. But any questions before I leave the concept of filling out the particular purchase contract? Perfect. All right, so up in here, there's a few things. You'll see a few little fun icons: file, fonts, clause, transaction forms, and a few other little tidbits. So you can just save and exit. Some of you won't have this actual verbiage next to it. You'll just have the symbols depending on what desktop you're using. So in this case, we're just going to save and exit. But overall in here, you can download it as a PDF if you wanted to just download it and send it over for review. You don't have to do everything through transaction desk. Or if you just need a blank addendum, you can just download stuff from Brokerment, or you can send it from here through email and other aspects of it. You can change your font size. I don't know what clauses. So I'll get back to you on exactly what that fun little feature is. And then you can go straight to some pages, so you don't have to like scroll. And that's kind of a fun little feature from this little book thing. So if right away you want to go back to the very last page, you can fill it out in here, but it's a nice way to go and reference one specific page. One of my little favorite features, of course, the zoom in and out. And then this is where from here, I can just send to e-sign. I'm not going to jump the gun that quick on the e-sign feature, but that is what the little pin means. So for now, let's just say this is nice and filled out. I will be sending you the link on how to fill out a purchase contract, because today is not only knowing how to sign in to transaction desk, how to apply a template so you're fast and efficient when you send out offers, but you also need to know how to e-sign through it. So those are going to be the main bullet points that I'm going to cover for you today. And then we're going to click on save and exit, and there is the purchase contracts. So from here, you can keep on shopping away for forms. It says like, let me check my checklist to see what else the brokerage needs. We can do the wire check, and it's not going to do, if you don't select this little check mark, it's not going to apply it. So notate on that, and you have to click on the add button. So this is where I just keep on shopping away for my forms. And you'll see some of them are specifically for buyers, some are specifically for sellers. So select the appropriate ones for the template that you're making or for the offer that you're in. So then we're going to click on add. And here are all my fun forms. So from here on, you'll see that I have a little wizard section here where it says dashboard, details, contacts. So you can kind of go back in and out of these particular areas. But what we're going to do from here is like we filled out our purchase contract. We're going to go ahead and send it out to Tristan to sign his offer. So I'm going to click on signing, and then I'm going to click on add. And it's going to take us to our little e-sign feature. And we're going to go ahead and add a document. We can get it from that checklist of forms we got. We can upload from our desktop, or you can go into your files. So know that there are 3 different ways. So let's just say most of them are from Transaction Desk, and I have one random guy that I had to get from the Broker Mint files, such as a business affiliated form that is not in Broker Mint or it's not in Transaction Desk. So I have to physically upload it from my desktop. So that's where you have the option of doing both. But in this case, I'm going to go to my transaction, and I'm going to add and start putting in the things that this buyer, Tristan, is going to sign. So I'm just going to do them all, and you can select the order you want them. And then we're going to click on close. And here we go. So it's ready to sign. So now we're going to go ahead and sign away. So which is going by clicking on next. So once you click on that next section, click on the signers and then start adding the participants of people who are going to be signing. So we're going to add from transaction because I already put it in there, and that's him right here. In the event he was not put in contact, you need to physically add him in there. So that's where you would put add new, or you can add if you've already pre-populated a lot of your contacts, which most of us don't. So you're going to be either adding new or adding from transaction. Tristan Horn. Select, and it pre-populates all the little parts that the Transaction Desk recognizes for a buyer to sign. So you see his initials on all of these little sections. One note that you really want to bullet point is that you always physically have to delete which one is only applicable on line 181 or line 182. So if the house was built before 1978, you leave it here. If it was built afterwards, you leave 182 checked. So this house was built after 1978. So I'm going to click on this top one and then click on the little trash can, i.e. delete. So you always have to remember to do that. If you do not do that, you will have to write an addendum editing that. So there's that. And then I'm just going to go down the line, make sure that everything was checked off, with the assumption, of course, that I filled out the contract in its entirety. So the example, if anyone's just chiming in and out, we did not. We were just kind of doing it as an example. All this looks good. He signed here. The wire fraud, you'll see it didn't recognize it. There's just some forms that Transaction Desk doesn't recognize where you physically will have to drag and drop the e-sign features. So from here, what you want to do is drag and drop whatever's applicable. So I'm going to click on sign here. And it does apply the dates, so be mindful of that. If one of these little boxes accidentally gets created, such as this one, and your buyer doesn't catch it, he or she will not be able to complete it. They have to click on everything that is required to sign. So if you accidentally end up clicking on stuff, you can click on delete, or you can make something optional to sign or not by unclicking required. But most of the time, anytime you do an e-sign, you want to make sure it's a required line. So all I did was, again, click on sign here, and it pre-did it. And then I'm just going to drag and drop wherever it's applicable. And then I'm going to go, just going to scroll down and make sure everything pre-populated correctly on this one. Check. Pre-populated on this one. Check. So once you're done with that, you want to go ahead and click on next. But a little thing about the signing tools. You'll have sign, initials. You can add a text section. So if you want him or her to write something, you can just drag it wherever it's applicable. Let's just say it's to print their name. You can do that one. Checkbox, in the event you're like, oh crap, I missed a spot. You can check and drag and drop versus going back and re-editing your transaction. Same thing with the check mark. A drop down, you can create a drop down menu and you can do little markups, like you can highlight, you can freehand. A lot of agents do kind of highlight certain things on a contract just to pinpoint or reiterate and point out a specific detail that is different from a traditional one. Let's just say the inspection period, as discussed, we changed it from a specific amount of days. So you can highlight it. So when the reader gets it, you were able to highlight it. So that's just a little fun note in regards to the signing tools that you'll have. And then we're going to click on next. One define drop down now. I think I did something. But any questions in regards to e-signing in Transaction Desk? Pretty easy enough, right? All right. So what you want to do from here is you kind of want to go back and send in the document for your client to sign. So what you do is you would just click on next after we were in that initial screen. And from here, I can just send to the abyss for my agent, for my client to sign. But ideally, I would suggest to customize your invite. So you can set up a reminder. So if your client works, if they need multiple reminders to e-sign stuff, you do have the ability to put reminders for your clients to sign. And when it expires, like they cannot sign after X time or date. Normally, most people don't edit that type of stuff, but you can if you'd like. And then we're going to customize the invite. So customizing the invite is no different than any other email. You want to put a subject line. And you want to customize your email. So, hi, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer. Attached is the purchase offer, the buyer advisory. This is all customizable. There's no black and white answer on how this email should go, but I personally would suggest advising them on what is attached. Some agents call their clients before they send them, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, I just sent you the purchase contract, the buyer advisory, and let them know what these are, because a lot of times your clients are just going to go click, 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 and sign away, not really knowing what they signed. So you want to do your due diligence to ensure that they understand what they're signing at a quick overview, because they'll just click away. But this is something you can reiterate with the information discussed on this particular email. We're just going to put please sign. And then you're going to click on save and send away. So this particular offer just went to Tristan to sign. He's putting a full asking price offer on this particular property. We pre-populated, and this is where it shows that it's been sent. If you want to check the status of things, what you do is you check on these little boxes and you can resend if needed, just in case Tristan goes like, I didn't get it, just click resend. And this little box right here will tell you if it's been viewed or if it's been signed. But Transaction Desk themselves will actually notify you when it's been fully executed. You'll get a copy, and from there you are prompted to send your offer to your next client. But that's the signing feature of Broker Mint, or of Transaction Desk. I apologize. Any questions in regards to those two things at all? Perfect. So where I would kind of leave you off from here is, if when you have a chance, go into Lone Wolf, that website. I think Ms. Sandra Solis, thank you for putting the link of this particular site right here, and go in here and take a look at Transaction Desk. You want to really be very efficient. I apologize for the delay of today's boot camp, but essentially there's just a lot of that goes into being efficient in Transaction Desk, because you will be writing a lot of offers. The next course is how to do an actual listing through Transaction Desk that we're going to be covering in the bootcamp later on in the next following weeks. Today was just kind of get an overview on how to, 1, create the template, 2, how to kind of fill it out, and 3, how to send through e-sign within Transaction Desk. And 4, how to kind of get to all the little tutorials and the videos. There's hours and hours of how to do this information, and there's a reason behind it, because it's actually a very friendly tool. There's a lot to it. That's actually just the super basic 101, just so like it's Saturday at 9 o'clock at night and I got to send an offer right now, right? You can't be an expert overnight, but that's essentially where you want to be able to get it. But you kind of have to go back and do a little bit of homework so that you're able to do so. All right. So if in the event you ever have to just shop for a form and you don't want to create a file, you do not always have to create a file. What you're going to do is you're going to create a quote unquote standalone form. So you would go into Transaction Desk, click on these little forms right here, and shop away for the form itself. So let's just say additional clause addendum, the most popular form out there that I never remember the name. I'm literally going to write it down like in black and white because everybody asks about this addendum on a daily basis. And I'm like, man, I still don't remember the name of it, but it's additional clause addendum. So let's just say hypothetically, this is the doc I need. I'm going to create a new form for a new transaction, or I'm going to create a standalone form, or I'm going to add it to an existing transaction that I might already have in Transaction Desk. In this case, I just want the form. So we're going to click on create new transaction, new standalone form. And here's the additional clause addendum. So from here, I just actually I just need the PDF. So I am going to either print it or I'm going to download as a PDF right down here. But a fun little note, this is the one that all the cool kids are using for appraisal shortfalls, skipping appraisals, all of that fun jazz. So here's the waiver, to waive the appraisal. Appraisal shortfall are the two things that it's used for the most. But this is where you can start really taking a look at all the forms out there in the real estate world. So you'll kind of drop it down and you'll see that there's tons of stuff. Hence why we have everybody go through Transaction Desk, where they're having an internal, a list of 7 docs that we require. Quite the contrary, there's a lot of stuff on here. There's wire fraud, there's mold inspection stuff. But if you kind of start looking at a lot of this, these forms, you'll see that it's all necessary, and it's good to kind of get a gist of what is in here, including some blank, including your cure notices, et cetera, et cetera. But like Lee said earlier, now I started the course, your templates are designed to be personalized and for you to just create templates as you go on. So you're able to write a whole bunch of offers. But anything we would like to go back and revisit before I stop sharing my screen? Cool. All right. So what I'm going to do right now, guys, is I'm going to send you all a MLS number, and we're going to use one of our personal listings, and I'm going to have you guys write me an offer. So I'm going to tell you kind of a gist of what I'm looking for. I'm going to give you my name, my personal email, and I'm going to tell you what I want to put an offer for this house. I'll be like, Becky, I found my house. I want to put an offer in X amount. I want to skip appraisal. So it's going to require for you to dig into some of these things. And that is where you probably will call or email or text me, and we can go over it together on how to do so. So hopefully you guys are paying attention, and I kept track of all the people who didn't tag us, stay on. I kept track of all your names. So that is the homework assignment for today's boot camp. I am missing a few of last week's planning sessions that I'm actually taking a look at today with Alan. So if you guys have not sent that, please send it over my way in regards to your pillars, your time blocking, your ideal schedule, all that stuff that we really dove into last week with Alan on the importance of getting all of that prepped before you start working and helping your clients. So please send that to me today. After the Zoom call today, I will be sending you a full recording of a Transaction Desk overview. Full transparency, I'm not the most efficient Transaction Desk. I do like the super basics, like what all of us realtors do, that's me. And then there's people who are like, I know how to apply a checklist. I know how to do this. I'm like, man, okay. So then now personally, I will be going back as well to review some of the stuff. The checklist one is my favorite because I have been in a transaction class, Transaction Desk workshop class in person from actual instructors from Lone Wolf, and it is intense. Like I cannot stress enough how much this particular technology does make you, how much more it'll make you so much more efficient. So where the little videos that I showed you, I'm going to share the link so you make sure to take a look at those, apply your templates, send me a screenshot, and you're going to write an offer. And ideally, if I can have the offers in by Friday, so that you know what they look like. And I know it's not like the most enjoyable task of the day, but when you are finally putting in offers and writing in offers, you want to be able to do it, because if you start learning the day you have to write an offer, it's gonna make your life very stressful. So that's the story for today, guys. Thank you so much for kind of hanging in there. But before I let you guys go, is there anything else maybe outside of Transaction Desk regarding last week's subject that we would like to revisit, or any obstacles or common issues that you might be facing with the Transaction Desk, planning, calling, online leads, whatever the case is? We have a few minutes to discuss that now if you'd like. Nothing. Devin, nothing from you over there? Thanks for joining today's boot camp.
You're welcome. Nothing as of yet. You'll get a contract from me by Friday, and then you'll have some questions.
There we go. That's the plan, guys. Well, thank you so much for sticking in there. Apologize for the Wi-Fi connections earlier. I'm going to send you some fun links, and you guys are going to be the most efficient people in this company with Transaction Desk after this week. So I'll let you guys enjoy your busy Tuesday, and I'll see you next week for our boot camp, which is going to be on the Buyer 101. So that's going to be by Miss Alyssa Joyner. And every now and then, if you guys follow us on Facebook group, or my Best Agent Home, it's our private Facebook group, there's certain videos that I bring back to life and that I kind of tag agents on. One of them I tagged recently was Abdullah on the Buyer 101 consultation, and it was from one of our TCs that we've had, and she just did something beautiful in regards to like the overview of the buyer consultation, the overview of the whole purchase process. So when you go under contracts, you have so many days to schedule the inspection, you have a TC, you have things to schedule, you have to get, you have to call you have to tell your buyers to call a utility company, like all of those things that seem like checklist type of thing. She reviewed over it, and essentially we're doing the same thing again next week with Miss Alyssa Joyner. So that's going to be something that's just not only going to help you as an agent, but it's also going to help you rephrase all of this to your potential buyers. So this first half of the boot camp is very heavy oriented on 1, planning and scheduling, getting going; 2, buyer wise, knowing what tools you have to use, such as Transaction Desk, so that I can write offers; but 2, how to really personalize and brand yourself as a buyer's agent. So that's the beginning half of it. The second half of the bootcamp is partially heavy on the listing side of things. And at the end of the 12-week bootcamp is focused on how to get additional business, such as for sale by owners, such as open house workshop or open houses, how you can really leverage that. So that's just kind of a little tidbit of the bootcamp and the progress. But if you missed last week's bootcamp, there is a recording on Facebook, and I'm going to tag anyone who is on today that wasn't on last week. It was quite beneficial for anyone who really needed that gear to get going and planned and intentionalize your tasks on a daily basis. So that's something, if you did miss last week, that I will personally tag you on. But that's pretty much it, guys. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'm here to assist. And if you'd like any little private session on Transaction Desk, we can Google Meet it or do it here in the office. But thank you all for your time. Enjoy your day.